Some of the most common reasons that we start looking at replacing decks have to do with several different points of failure on your deck. The most obvious being the decking. Your decking starts to split out, starts to develop a little bit of wood rot, holes. You start to notice maybe nails working their ways up. The boards start to cup a little bit, so you're catching your feet and tripping. That's one of the most obvious things that most people see, and that lead them to make that phone call to us to come take a look. Another thing that we see a lot of is improper post installation or footing installation, how the actual deck is supported. You might start noticing that once one part of your deck is starting to sag down a little bit, typically means you're starting to get a little bit of wood rot in a post or maybe in one of your joists, so that your deck's coming apart and starting to settle a little bit. One of the other things that we see happening, especially on two-story decks, is the way that they were fastened to the houses 15 and 20 years ago. They didn't used to allow spacing to give the deck boards actual room to breathe. So not always so much just your deck board, but actually the boards behind it, whether it be the siding or the actual structural boards, the rim of your house, they start to develop wood rot, and over time your deck will start to actually pull away from your house. So that's another real common thing that we see that really throws up that flag that, hey, it's time to start looking at replacing this deck. Some of the things to really keep an eye on with your deck is any kind of debris or leaf buildup that you would get up against from on the top of the deck that would be up against the house. Anything where they're holding moisture, you want to make sure you keep that area all cleaned out. You want as much air getting to your deck as you can, just to keep it dry. One of the other portions that fail seems to be one of the first things to go on a lot of decks are your steps. A lot of steps, when they do the stringers, they'll only put 2 stringers, maybe 3 at most, for a set of steps, so they're spread out pretty wide. You'll start to develop cracks and splits where they start to get a little saggy or maybe wobbly, and then also the bottom where those steps actually set. If they're not setting on a hard surface like a concrete or a paver, if they're just sitting in mud, those are going to start to rot out over time, and that's going to be a major point of failure that you need to watch. One other thing is one of the most common spots of failure are the posts. 15, 20 years ago, a lot of the posts, they actually would bury them in concrete. Just over a natural period of time, those actually start to rot out. So those are all areas that you want to keep an eye on, especially your bottom of your posts, bottom of your steps, and anything along the edge of your house where the deck actually attaches to the house.